There are thousands of DOS games. Most of them are terrible. I play one selected at random with a 20-minute time limit and record it live. This is the result. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a long-awaited random DOS game show. You're probably wondering why. Well, you can hear it in the background. That is the Microprose logo. That is a Jeff Crammond game, and here we go. Now, for episode 100 of a Random DOS Game Show, I played Grand Prix by Jeff Crammond, which was an absolute game changer. This is arguably better in every single conceivable way. To wax lyrical about it for a moment, generally in the DOS era, people look back at sports games with, fond memories, and they say, oh yes, I remember this. Good memories, good times and stuff. As of 2025, Grand Prix II is no longer considered that way. It's considered one of the greatest race sims ever. And I'll explain that in due course. But let's just have a little look through the menus and see what's what, shall we? And then I'll get to the startling reveal, which isn't startling at all if you follow my channel. So we've got the drive menu, which is highlighted helpfully in red. So let's have a look at that. You've got the ability to quick race, practice any circuit, have a non-championship race, or drive a full season. You can go to the drive options here, and you can see already exactly why Grand Prix is held in such high esteem. You've got various quick race options. Your grid position and stuff means I believe it's the place in the grid that you take. I'm not entirely sure if it affects the driver. And then you've got practice periods and qualifying periods and race distance. So if you wanted, you could change that distance all the way up to 100. And you could change the practice and qualifying times up to the regular amount, so that you could simulate an entire Formula 1 race. Number turns, multiplayer mode, general options and stuff. But you can see also there's opposition standard. Now, Grand Prix is not like later Grand Prix games. These cars will be jockeying for position. They'll not just sit behind you. They're genuinely challenging. So I'll leave that on rookie. It doesn't affect us. I'll explain in due course. Opposition spread, are they all the same? Are they at 1994 levels? Or do we want to just completely randomize things and throw things into chaos? It's that kind of detail that you expect from a game by Jeff Crammond. Player cars only, when more than one player. We'll obviously hit no for that. So let's go to the car setups menu. You can change the gear ratios, the pit stop strategies, front wing, brake balances, rear wing, and this was before the safety regulations that came in the mid-90s, thanks to certain tragic accidents. Not sure thanking him is the right word, but you know what I mean. They spurred forth changes in the Formula 1 design. But yes, you can separate race and qualifying setups. So if you have a setup that you want to use for qualification, say you feel like you can get faster time with a different setup, you can choose that. And you can load and save these setups, and you can have them for specific races. So say you're doing Monaco, you can copy from that and change the car setup for Great Britain, or you can go and you can select Monaco and change the Monaco setups, because you know that Monaco is a different setup in terms of its track. So we'll cancel out of that. Hold on a second. There was an advanced button there. You get the idea, don't you? So this kind of realism had been seen before in Papyrus games, but this just took it to another level. You have performance data based on your laps and stuff like that, and it's just important to show that, to show just how in-depth the menus go. So, We've got load game or hot lap replay. Don't think we need to do that. We can choose a driver or team, and you have a list, a substantial list of teams, more teams than a lot of the modern Formula One games. See, Damon Hill, Mark Blundell, Verstappen, some people will recognize that name. Jos Verstappen is actually Max Verstappen's dad, but there's a more notable name there. Yep, there's the man. Just before his dominance, the field was wide open at this point. Sure, you had Williams and McLaren doing well and Ferrari kind of, falling back, but you had multiple future or former world champions all driving in this season. I believe it's the 1994 season. I might be wrong about that, but some fantastic names. And yes, there were one or two omissions due to, well, let's just call it what it is, death and retirement, See, Damon Hill's got the 0 number there. But anyway, we've got control method, which is pretty obvious. Now, it says joystick, but you can plug in a wheel and get going, and I'll explain that in due course. And you can change the sensitivity zone on your steering and stuff like that. So this has A and Z as brake and acceleration, which I'm used to, and the little sort of keys where your full stop and comma are for driving left and right. But yes, you get the idea. It's a heavily involved simulation game. And you're probably thinking, right, Lawnie, okay, you've shown us enough. Please get to the actual game. And I will. But here is where I switch things up. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Switch Up. You see, this is Grand Prix II. It is written by Jeff Crammond, Peter Cook, Norman Surplus, and Dave Surplus. But this is also running x86 GP2, version 0.72, probably an old version at this point, by Hatcher the Patcher. And Hatcher the Patcher is a person, don't know much about them, who has essentially done the impossible. He's made Grand Prix 2 compatible with modern systems. I say he, it could be a she. And has given them widescreen support, full controller support in terms of steering wheels, and it's crazy. So let's just go Monaco, or should we go San Marino? Yeah, let's go Monaco and hit OK. And we are riding with Jean Alesi. And you'll see I have a series of aids that I can turn on and off. You'll see in the corner there. And I'm just going to turn everything on for the fun of it, because this is just a casual drive through Monaco. Oh, I've been hit. My goodness. Occupancy warning or something flashing up there. I'm not entirely sure what that means. But yes, fully widescreen, 60 frames a second if your system can handle it, I'm emulating this using Proton on Linux. But, it's actually a compatibility layer. It isn't really an emulator because it's a heavily modified version of Wine. And Wine, as some of you will know, will stand for Wine is not an emulator. It's a compatibility layer. So let's head to the famous tunnel. And we're still in 6th. Nobody's passed us because we've all the driving aids on. And I'll slowly take driving aids off. And maybe I'll do a few laps of Monaco with the driving aids, and you can just see how awesome this is. But honestly, it's one of those where you actually have to feel it. Now, I only have a provisional driver's license. I cycle most everywhere. But I'd say if you were in a Formula One car from the mid-90s, you'd be like, hey, this feels right. And I know some Formula One drivers did practice using computer games. So it's not entirely realistic because David Coulthard just got the highest lap. That's a joke, sorry David. I don't think David Coulthard will watch this, but on the off chance, sorry David. Good driver in his time. So yeah, there have been comparison videos made, and by the way, this isn't full graphics. There are ways to get this looking even smoother, even better, you know, with full frame generation, forced anti-aliasing, stuff like that, you know. Just anything you can do with a modern Windows game executable, you can now do with this, which is absolutely remarkable for a DOS game, you know. It's just... I just never thought I'd see it. It's like when TFTC came out. They were like, hey, you can play TIE Fighter in widescreen. You know? It's one of those where you're like, hey, I would never expected this. And obviously, it's difficult to, you know, explain how this feels. But if you go to any of the big racing channels, like the retro racing channels, you can look them up. Just look up x86 GP2, you'll come across them. They'll tell you, you know, they have all the right gear, all the right stuff. They're using steering wheels instead of, you know, my idiotic keyboard control. I've always used keyboard for Grand Prix games. Always. So, let's turn off a few of the assists, shall we? Oh my goodness. Even with the assists, you have to pay attention to what you're doing. Right. Because this is Monaco, I might just have to wait for a little lull period in the track to really... Let's hit F1. Right. We've lost a place because of that. Oh, I'm sorry. So I think that was... You can see poor old Rumens Barrichello has suffered as a result of my sloppy driving, because I didn't know which aid I turned off. I think it was the steering aid. So I'll hit F3, and I believe that turns off the auto braking. So I have to be super careful. And those of you who know that Lawnie is an expert at going really fast in the straights and then really, really slowly in the corners. And it sort of evens out. But you can see I'm hesitant here because, folks, let's face it, talking and trying to race in Formula One at the same time is an exceptionally bad idea. I think I have invincibility on. Also, it's worth noting... Oh, there we go. He's finally crashed. Oh, now I'm starting to lose places. The pit stop has this sort of auto pull to it. Let's just see if I can make up that place. Oh! No, shouldn't have done that. Now I'm in trouble. They've all passed me. And I can't turn. I'm stuck. Let's go with San Marino. And yes, there's qualifying and all that as well. Every single aspect of Grand Prix II that was previously there is here. It's just there's a real risk here that I'm going to play this, and A, I'm not going to do it justice. Oh, terrible start. And B, I'm going to get sucked into the game and just not talk about it because I'm too busy playing it. This is actually a good start. Oh, that swerve didn't do me any favours. See the best race line there? Oh. Bit of argy-bargy. I remember when Michael Schumacher did that. I think it was to Jacques Villeneuve. And all the commentators were like, oh my god, can't do that. But because San Marino has more straights, it's given Lawnie more, capability to take the lead. Now, I can do this in my sleep because this is rookie level AI and it's very, very basic. If anybody knows what that occupancy thing is that's flashing up, Maybe it's telling me to observe a feast of maximum occupancy. I don't know. Let me know. But I think this is maybe the second time I've ever done this. I did a Tomb Raider video where I played a sort of modified version of the game. I didn't play it in DOSBox. I played it in something else. I may have played a few games in Frauds, I'm not sure. But other than that, I've never really used a source port or an engine modification while playing these games on this show. Slight lag there, probably my system. I'm only running an i5, folks, with a very, very standard AMD graphics card, nothing fancy. You don't need anything fancy when, you know, the most modern games you play are from like 2010. Why 2010, Lawnie? Because StarCraft 2 and Fallout New Vegas were released around then. I think the oldest sort of, the newest sort of game I play would probably be Cyberpunk. So that's 2020s, right? Sort of. But other than that, now most of the stuff is from 2010 or before. Usually emphasis on before. Not that that has anything to do with Grand Prix, of course. But there have been calls from various people over the years saying, can we have Jeff Crammon back? Can he make the Grand Prix games again? Because these modern ones, they're not as good. You're probably thinking, well, Lawnie, why are you just sat here rambling on now? It's because there's a little part of me that wants to play this for 20 minutes, just to say, look, it deserves a full 20-minute video. Oh, now that is controversial. Look at that. Damon Hill is out of the race. Wonder what happened there. And this is something that Grand Prix II had. I mentioned it before, but it's worth pointing out. Stuff happens. There are car failures, there are retirements, there are shock moments that are all happening elsewhere while you're randomly driving. So it's not just a bizarro conga line of people, hey, I got the fastest lap, until Jos Verstappen stole it from me. Thanks, Jos. Your son will outdo you. So yeah, there's a whole world of activity going on, and I like to think that Murray Walker is violently and excitedly reacting to it all in the background as I storm into the lead, and everyone will be confused. They'll be like, why is Jean Alesi absolutely decimating everybody in this race? Is he on something? I should note, I never think that the Formula 1 driver Jean Alesi was on something. Unlike David Coulthard! Sorry, David. There is Damon Hill, we just passed him. That's also something really cool about this, object persistence. If cars are knocked out, you can actually run into them if you're not careful. There can be big car pile-ups, and the game is quite unrelenting in terms of its realism. But if you're like me and you're just casually playing with all the aids on, it can turn into, well, what Formula 1 games used to be. You know, very, very sort of simplistic, almost arcadey-like racers. And the other thing that's worth noting is that there are bits and pieces in this game that are worth paying attention to. Lap 3 of 3, and victory by Jean Alesi. We didn't get to it, but you can start overlapping people, and the wind resistance of those people behind you affects your lap speed and causes other racers to catch up with you. So I'm just waiting for the rest of the cars to finish their race, but you get the idea with this one. Race over, there we go, thank you very much. I won on rookie. So let's have a look at the driver best laps. So it was actually Eddie Irvine who had the best lap for some reason. Damon Hill did not do well. And yes, you can pick relative and absolute. So if you want to look at the exact times that people have scored. You can do that and show average speed and all kinds of interesting statistical data for stat nerds. And you can print this all out as well on your computer printer, because everybody has a printer. Let's have a look at the circuit records. Yes, there we are. Previous records, Ayrton Senna. There he is. The man himself. May he rest in peace. So if we hit continue, we're back to the main menu. And I guess I could do one more quick race. Let's go to the UK, and I'll give you my thoughts on Grand Prix II, because I have been playing for roughly 20 minutes now. Let's just turn all the, not all of them, let's turn that best line off, and let's see what I can do while talking and summing up my thoughts and actually racing without the safeties on. Let's turn that off as well. There we are. This is going to end badly. Let's turn off that best line. There we are. And they're starting to take over. Oh, that's not good. And I'm in trouble now. Oh dear. Oh, and that's it. That didn't last long, did it? So, what is Grand Prix II? Well, Grand Prix II is arguably the best Grand Prix game ever made. Some people will say Grand Prix 4, and some people who are wrong will say, oh, one of the F1 series later on from, was it Codemasters or something? No, this is where it's at. In terms of feel, in terms of the period of Formula 1 that it's emulating or simulating, I guess you'd say, this is king. This is the best that it will ever be. And I feel like back then Formula 1 was more exciting. It was more unpredictable. And it was more dangerous. The tracks were more dangerous. The cars were more dangerous to drive. And it just felt more visceral, more real, more raw. And this is the perfect culmination of trying to capture that lightning in a bottle and distill it into computer game form. With the first Grand Prix, Jeff Crammon took what he learned from Revs and other games and just turned it up to 100 on the Amiga and on DOS. With Grand Prix 2, he took the multimedia enhancements, the textures, the engine improvements, and the tweaks that he had learned, and the menu enhancements to improve customizability, and put it all in one neat package. There's very little wrong with this game. It's just whether you're a fan of racing and Grand Prix. If you are, then this is king. This is it. This is as good as it gets. Not just for DOS, but potentially for any system or any machine. Sure, there are games that graphically look better, but in terms of actually getting behind a cockpit and really feeling those revs, this is where it's at. Who would I recommend it for? Fans of Formula 1, it's an obvious choice. Fans of racing games in general might enjoy it, and fans of Papyrus titles over in the States, like NASCAR and IndyCar racing, might want to check out the other side of the pond and see what the big deal is, because there's a lot of very, very similar design philosophies at play here. And if you like us talking about random DOS games, we do it all the time. Feel free to take a look at the other videos from the other fellas on the channel. We just do it for the love, not the money. And if you like what you see, you can always subscribe. So yeah, it was nice to finally play this, even with most of the driving aids on and just being conversational. I'm not much of a racer these days. I've got a bad hand and my reflexes aren't what they used to be and I'm out of practice. But thanks for listening. Until next time.